Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. This is a long awaited requested one. I'm sorry if this is one that you asked for a while ago. So this is a notebook tour. I am a huge lover and a huge user of notebooks. I have notebooks for everything. So let's get straight into it and I'll show you what I've got. I'll start with the ones I have out on the desk next to me. Actually, this one doesn't stay next to me all the time, but it's out because I was doing my online banking. This is such a useful book my sister-in-law bought me years ago, and it's a password book. So it's got all the online places that I need a password for. Yeah, I don't mind showing it to you because it wouldn't be useful to you if you broke in, because it is in a code that only I would understand. But it does have to go with me every time I go to America. It's so annoying because whenever you're in another country, the shops recognise you're in a strange place and think you might not be used. It never uses stored passwords when you're doing that, so yeah, this has to come with me when I go abroad, but I'm too scared to store stuff anywhere else. I like a pen and paper for things. This is the next one, and this is an ordinary W.H. Smith's 2020 A5 diary. This is page per day diary, and I write my daily lists every day. That gets usually quite full quite quickly with my daily list, and I write everything I need to do because I have no memory whatsoever. If it's not written down, I will forget it. I find making lists like this quite reassuring. I know where I'm at, I know what I need to do, and then I don't have any sort of dithering space, if you like. So that's that one. This pile here is my important, using all the time notebooks. This is a really pretty one. Everyone knows I like a notebook, so I do get a few at Christmas, which is always lovely, and they always get used. This one is recently started actually. I expect my previous one for this subject is also on the table here somewhere. Oh, the cat's coming in. This section of books here is getting a little overrun, so it's time that I had a little sort through as well. So as I go through these showing you, I might also think, oh well, that can retire to somewhere else. It doesn't have to be on my desk. These are just my important books. I have a lot more notebooks than this. So this is for my Etsy shop, which I've just called by Helen, Hobden. This is my hobby shop. It's not something that I try to make a living from or anything. It's just somewhere to put things in the hope that someone will buy them so that I don't have a house full of crafty stuff. This is out at the moment because I'm getting into proper 3D mixed media art, and I'm just sort of learning it. I'm getting ideas, so they're all going in this notebook. So that's what this one is. I'm going to have to go through these quite quickly if I'm going to get through them all. This is my current blog and YouTube and Instagram, anything else. So I use these books for brain dumping all my ideas. Some pages are more organised than others. So like if I'm trying to just organise my head, the order of the next videos that need to go up, if I need a to-do list of extra clips I need to film, all that sort of thing. This basically all goes in here. See, I've got a nice neat table here, I don't know if you can see that from that distance, of keeping track of YouTube videos. So I've got a little chart where I've got the title, I tick when I finished filming, tick when I started editing, finished editing, published, and then promoted on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Pinterest. So that's quite organised of me really. So that's that one. Next, and I've got two of these on the go. These are my business books for Threads of a Fairytale. If you're new around here, it's a fairytale clothing business. I make everything from reclaimed luxury fabrics, and usually it's dresses, but sometimes it's like more casual festival fashion, and then sometimes it's like prom dresses, wedding dresses, all with a sort of fairy-tale-y sort of theme. So these are my business books. Now the reason why I ended up with two is that I mentioned earlier going to America. We do go there for quite long periods of time sometimes for my husband's work. This was in October. We went and I totally forgot to take my Threads of a Fairytale book. So I had to buy a new one while I was there, particularly as I was going to use some of the time while I was there to do a business course. I'm currently doing the Janet Murray Build Your Online Audience course. So this one has become to do with that course really. I make all the notes on here, and then this has become more about ideas, musings, things about sewing, and I try to make my Threads of Fairytale notebook a plain paper notebook rather than lined, so that I can do little sketches if I get ideas of something I want to make. Yeah, for example, just in the bottom corner there. Those are those. They're quite important to keep nearby. This is probably one of my most important books at the moment. This is my bullet journal. If you're interested in bullet journaling, I did do a video all about how I planned this year's one. Yeah, so if you want to see my bullet journal set up, do go and have a look at that video. But yeah, I do the bullet journaling again mainly to track business things really for Threads of a Fairytale, but I don't want to use my Threads of a Fairytale notebooks because I don't want to get all the important bits lost in all my general musings, whereas this is very much getting organised. It's to the point, what I need to-do lists and checklists as well, everything I need to do every day, social media planner and everything like that, and content planning. Things like that go in the bullet journal. And then speaking of journaling, this is my current journal. Oh my gosh, I love it so much, and I would love to repurchase this, and I'd love to tell you about the maker. There's a very charming young man who made these, and I'd love to tell you about him, but I can't, I don't know his name. But yeah, I've got this handmade journal I treated myself to, and that is what I use. Every evening I write a thankfulness list. It's one of those things people encourage you to do for your positivity, to keep you more thinking about glass half full rather than glass half empty. And you hear it a lot and you think, and I think a lot of, it's easy not to bother, but I genuinely find writing a list of things that I'm thankful for, it ends the day on a positive note. So I write that every evening, and I also write a pat on the back list every evening, and that's again to lift my spirits, you know, to keep a positive mind frame, just to say well done, even if it's the smallest things like cleaning the kitchen work surface and loading the dishwasher. Like, no one's going to thank me for doing that, but I did it. I put my time and energy into doing that, and I think that's a pat on the back. So I write it in here, and I write that every evening as well. And I also journal out any problems I'm having. If I'm having a down day, I might just come here and write about it, try and figure out why, try and figure out what to do about it. Now we're moving into the territory of books that I need to hand, but not so often. But these just basic exercise books are food diaries, food planning, nothing all that interesting. Those are old ones. I treated myself to a pretty book. Again, while I was out in America, but it's by a British company. It was slightly cheaper to buy it in America. Daphne's Diary, 2020 Diary. And this is actually a good well-being type book because you get a couple of list pages, and then between the months you get more things like habit trackers. There's a list of favourite recipes there. Some of the pages are water drinking trackers or fitness trackers, but they're not for every month. So if you want to do that sort of thing, then again I would recommend a bullet journal really. This one is a lovely, lovely journal. So nice. We bought this in Salem in America, right near Halloween as well. It was a really interesting day, I have to say, and there was this lovely shop of witchy things, lots of herbs and lots of books, and this was here for sale. So this is the Fairy Journal of Enchantment, and it's by Lucy Cavendish, and it's mainly just plain. Sorry, the memory card just got full. I'll try and pick up where I left off. Most of this book is plain lined paper, but with quotes, little snippets of stories and poems, fairy related, and there's some beautiful fairy art in here as well. So it's very inspiring, just very inspiring, and I really like anything fairy related. So I really like this book, and I'm using this one for writing short stories. If you've been around recently, you'll know that I've started to share some of my writing, and if the inspiration takes me, then this is where I'm writing those short stories, and so little bits of creative writing go in this one. I have no idea what this little book is. These little ones are often used for travel, for notes to take with me This is one I've taken to Glastonbury Festival in the past, where I don't want to take I have made the mistake in the past of having a journal / diary that's too big and heavy to carry around. So on occasions where I haven't been able to take my big heavy one with me, these little notebooks are useful for popping it in my smaller bag for the day. And yeah, so at Glastonbury Festival I just sit and make notes of what I've seen, who I've seen, particularly if I'm typing it up for a blog post review afterwards, then that's where I write that. This is another full notebook from blogging and YouTube that is still full but still got relevant notes and lists and ideas and things like that. This one is a previous journal that can be tucked away somewhere else now. This one is also a previous blog one, now full, but also still I need to keep it fairly close. There's bound to be, and I know this one is exactly the same thing. This is another one for my blog, YouTube, full of lists of ideas. Generally they're full of lists of ideas of things to film or write about. So that's that. This book is where I should, and I forget about this one actually. I might change what I'm going to use this book for. This has started to be a sketchbook of designs, dress designs for Threads of a Fairy Tale. So you probably can't see that from there, but there's a pencil drawing and then notes next to it. Yeah, here's like a steampunky bustly dress, that sort of thing. This is the leather book. I made this on a leatherworking course year before last. I have no idea what's in here actually. Oh, I'd forgotten this. Because the paper in here, it's made to fit these notebooks that you just tear off the paper. So I think I've put things in here that are not, that are just general stuff that could be thrown away afterwards. So I've got a random to-do list. Oh, this is random planning. This is coincidence that Glastonbury Festival has come up again. But this is my Friday schedule. Planning my Instagram grid. So this is just basically random stuff. I had forgotten I was using that for random stuff, because I have another random stuff notebook. This one, oh, this one can be put away. I had an idea for a non-fiction book to write and I started making notes for that in here, but I think I'm parking that idea for now. Got too much on my plate as it is. Oh, that's a very old journal. That can be put away somewhere. This is my previous Threads of a Fairy Tale notebook, and I've already sort of told you what I use those for. This is my photography notebook. I do love photography, but I do sort of forget the techniques sometimes, particularly for editing. So I've written how to brighten skin, how she sharpens eyes, how to edit a photo taken at dusk, and then if I've worked out how to edit a photo that I particularly like how I've done it, then I'll write the process down while I remember it. So that's what that notebook is about. This is a very old Threads of a Fairy Tale, so old it's still got Oshun written on it, which is what the business used to be called. This notebook, on my Instagram account, Helen Hobden, I want to use the captions better, but I'm really slow at typing on the phone, and sometimes I type it on the computer and then copy it and paste it onto the phone, but ideas still don't flow very well. I'm very much, well, as you can tell from my pile of notebooks, I'm very much a pen and paper sort of person. So instead of trying to do a caption on the computer or on my phone, I've now taken to writing down a caption and taking a photo of it. I'm not sure, I don't know if it's working or not. It's difficult to tell from my engagement, but I feel better knowing that I've said something that's perhaps a little bit more interesting than just a line or two or just a title. So this is my little notebook that I use pretty much every day, and that's my caption, and if you want to swipe to read it then you can. This is one of my original blog notebook. I can't remember. Again, I have to have these sort of things handy because at the back of this book I've written a list for every month for general ideas for things to write about or things to use in content. For example, March and April I've got Easter, spring decor, starting gardening, Mother's Day, World Book Day, International Women's Day. So it's got all that sort of thing that I've been gathering for years. This one is oh, that shouldn't be here. That's to do with my novel. This is my current novel brain dumping notebook. I am currently writing a novel. I have been for a while, but I've made good progress this last couple of years, so I'm knuckling down with it a bit more rather than dipping in and out of it. But I will do a separate video another time of how I organise my notes. This is an old Threads of a Fairytale book, I think. This one is, it's got a few measurements for our van conversion on the front page and nothing else. So I think that can go in the cupboard. I have a garden journal. This was a kind gift from my daughter for Mother's Day this year. So that's out because just planning what I need to plant, what plants I want to get, making notes of plants I've planted, things like that generally. Right, we have one more pile here. I hope you can see me all right. I feel like the light is really strong behind me and I'm in shade, but never mind. I've got a couple of books here called My Lovely Little Book of Lovely Little Lists. I think I got a duplicate present one year. One of them can probably go in the bin. It's a very, very old to-do list that I've had for about 15 years. Yeah, there's lots of very old things that are not at all relevant anymore. This is the sort of thing that I get sentimental about and find difficult to throw away. And this other one is a mix of things actually. There are to-do lists, but there's also packing lists. There's lists of when I moved here, lists of people's names. When I'm trying to remember people's names of new people I meet, they've gone in here. And then I was given for Christmas present another to-do list book. Oh, that's nearly full actually. This is a cute little notebook. It's just very pretty. It's from the Mirabelle Santoro range. This was a notebook because it's so lightweight, similar to that small purple one. I took this with me on a blogger day out actually to make notes with. Okay, this one, I mentioned my hobby Etsy shop by Helen Hobden. This is a sketchbook for designs for that, because mostly that shop is selling things with pyrography. Pyrography is burning onto wood or leather, and usually quite simple designs work best. So I've got a little sketchbook of designs to do, quite a lot of sort of nature drawings. It's basically a little sketchbook for things I have in mind for pyrography. This one is a very early Threads of a Fairytale book. Lots of notes about fabrics, when I was sort of learning a bit more than notes about sewing silk and things like that. That's in this one. This one is my house book. This began when we moved here. I should have done a more lightweight book actually, because this goes with us to the reclamation yard, it goes with us to the DIY shop, you know, so I should have made it a little bit more portable really. Yeah, lots of ideas for what I want to do with the house, along with more practical things where I've made notes on the research we had to do for the Rayburn, that sort of thing. And then at the back of the book I did start doing research into the history of the house, gathering, you know, names and who used to live here and that sort of thing, which is so fascinating. One day I really want to delve into this properly and get down to records, record libraries and things like that. So that is my house book. So every time I have an idea of what I want to do with one of the rooms, then it gets jotted down in here. This is an early by Helen I can't say my own name. This is an early by Helen Hobden book. Yeah, this was back where it used to be called Wicked Fairy Gifts. So I think that's more or less it. I have this notebook. This began as a personal bullet journal rather than a business bullet journal last year, and then I just found I didn't have the time for it. I wasn't filling it in, and I think I got to June, I got halfway through the year. Yeah, we went away and I didn't bother doing that month when we got back, and then I just thought, actually I don't miss this. I don't think it was all that useful for me. So what I use it for now is a notebook for things, notes that I don't want to lose straight away, at least, you know, not for a couple of years. So in here, for example, I've got drafts of a couple of letters that I've written. I've got a list of art supplies that I've recently bought and art supplies that I want to buy. So again, I can refer to that. I've done fountain pen research in here. Even though I was given a fountain pen for my birthday, I would like a second one for Christmas. So that research will be useful to still have when Christmas comes around. I've got some notes that I've made when I've done my accounts at the end of the year, things to remember, so that will be useful for next year. Things like that. I've also got a very big to-do lists for particular occasions, so this one is for before Christmas, and then things to do before the trip. I think I've got a big packing list in here as well. Planning of the layout for my bullet journal is also in here, so it's things that are useful. I don't want them to go straight, those notes to go straight in the bin, but probably in a couple of years' time, if I can be less sentimental, then I might manage it. So that covers all of the books on my desk, but that is not by half all of my notebooks. So down below the desk here is where I retire some books that I'm just not quite ready. This is like the halfway house, not quite ready for them to go disappearing off into the loft or in the bin even. So I've got a couple of old journals down there that probably just because my journal box is so difficult to get to, they're just sort of staying there until I get around to doing that. I've also got last year's list book that can definitely go away. It's useful to have that hanging around at the beginning of the year, isn't it? Your previous year's diary and lists, because some things need to be swapped over. So that can probably go now. We've got a couple of business record books, and then sort of behind me over here under this window there's a cupboard built into the wall where I filled it with notebooks. There's a whole variety of stuff in there. There's a good portion of those have not been used yet, but will be obviously. And then there's some that I just don't need to get to very often. So I mentioned writing a book. I have written books before. I had one published a long time ago, about 16 years ago, and I wrote 2 more for that publisher, but they changed their mind about publishing them. So I still have those notebooks hanging around. They're down there. And when I finish the one I'm writing, I might go back and revisit them, maybe give them another edit and give them another try. We'll see. There are notebooks in there from a long time ago. Like I said, I am a hoarder, as you can probably tell. So notebooks like this that I've used in the past, they're still there. They're still tucked in there. But apart from that, I've got a couple of Christmas notebooks. And this is my most recent one. I think in Vlogmas the year before last I properly explained how I use my Christmas planning. Obviously gift lists, gift ideas, notes about recipes that I want to do. So I think that concludes this notebook tour. I've tried to talk as concisely as I can, but I forget and I start rambling, so I'm sorry if this is a really long video. But I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And do subscribe if you're new here. I'd love to see you again, and do share this channel with your friends if you think they'd enjoy it too. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!